Okay. So very first we've got Gabrielle says, can you give me some guidance on hubs, please? I have my niche figured out, I think. I have my pathways, but I'm stuck on how to find my hubs. Okay, so just a little pause here. This is the thing I've noticed is whenever people think they're stuck with hubs, it's not the hubs. It's almost always the niche. Yeah, it's there's usually a problem upstream, and then we're wondering why is it so hard to figure out hubs, and it's usually that. And so Gabrielle says, I help tired, stressed women who put everyone else first and themselves last feel like they can breathe again. What's great about this is I love the so they can breathe again. Right, it's a sort of a metaphor, like well, I mean, also reality, but they feel like they're holding their breath. We all know that relief of you know, being able to breathe freely. So that's good. Um, at some level, I know if I'm in this group or not. I know I'm not a woman, so I'm not in that group. So that's helpful. But then if you're a woman, do you know if you're in this group, well, tired and stressed? So I think what we have here is a bit of what I would call wide and shallow relevance versus narrow and deep. Um, it's not just, I mean, it's more deep than and not quite as wide as I help tired, stressed people. We've eliminated half the population, but yeah. So and not everybody's tired, stressed, but most people, I would say these days, a lot of people are. So again, it's shallow and wide relevance. I think most people would at some level say, yeah, that's me. Right. I can relate. That makes sense. Um, but very few people are going to read that and say, oh my God, that's me. It's like she knows me. That's exactly where I'm at in my life. So, for example, if this were to be honed to I help tired and stressed moms, that's different. Or I help tired and stressed retired women or corporate executive women. Even those little things will help hone it. Part of the challenge is a lot of the times when we name the issue, it's decontextualized. Yeah, it's a sort of abstract issue. You can picture the person, but you can't picture where they are, like a totally white background. And so that makes it tricky to understand um, why it's a problem. So, and this may sound um, inane at a certain level. Well, they're tired and they're stressed. So how is that not an obvious problem? It's not. Yeah. First of all, there's two kinds of stress: good stress, bad stress. And you're a lot of soldiers talk about this. They come back from war and they miss it. They miss the adrenaline, the purpose, the meaning, the kinship, the camaraderie they felt. Were they tired? Better believe it. Were they stressed? Yes, but it felt worthy to them. Not always, but you understand. That's often the experience, particularly of men coming back from war. And now they come back and there's nothing. There's no stress at all. And so there's no meaning. Most initiations of young men, I don't know what it was like for the women, but for young men, oh, they were tired and stressed most of the time. And they will think fondly of that the rest of their life, what they endured, what they went through. People doing fasting, the sit outs, the vision quests. It's kind of stressful. Even if the stress is nothing's happening, that's stressful too. Waiting can be stressful. So I'm just trying to paint a bit of a picture of why sometimes the things that seem so obviously a problem are not necessarily, unless we know what the context is. Like, okay, they're tired and stressed, but so what? Who cares? At a certain level, what is the problem with that? And I'm not saying there isn't a problem. I'm just saying we don't actually know what the problem is. We know the situation, roughly. Abstractly, we know the situation, but concretely, we don't know the consequences. Yeah. So, does anything come to mind, Gabrielle, as I'm talking about that?
I think I think I put the tired and stressed part at the start because I was trying to clarify that women who put everyone else first and themselves last, some women are fine doing that. They kind of thrive on it. But it's when you get to the point where you're so exhausted and resentful from doing that, that's when it's getting too much. So I think so maybe my order of words is what's not helping here.
No, that's good. That's a good thing to point out. So we do know, right, we do know a bit of context. The reason they're tired and stressed is because they're putting everyone else first and themselves last. I could still push back and say, is that a problem? Isn't that what people are doing when they're fasting and doing a vision quest? They're putting the community first and themselves last. They're not eating, they're not drinking any water, they're not sleeping sometimes. And they're doing that so they can get a vision to bring back. And it will cost them to do it. They're not going out, they're not only not going out to eat, they're going out to be eaten by the world, to feed the world. And so they're putting themselves last. So one word I might add here is just chronically. Yeah, it's not just, it's in some ways it's there, but it's who chronically, who always, who consistently, who, that's the dominant pattern. And again, there's levels of nests of context. So what we know is they're tired and stressed because they're chronically putting everyone else first. And if that had even a bit more context on it of where and when are they putting others first, it could help. That would be one. It's not the only way to get more clear in this, but that could be one. Is moms, they're doing this at the workplace, or they're always doing it with their friends or with their spouse. Now, that if they're doing it in one, they're probably doing it in all. How we do anything is how we do everything. But sometimes it's just easier for people to recognize. That's like the front door to the house of overgiving, like, welcome in, guess what, it's everywhere, but they only come in for the front door, and then they realize, oh, it's a bigger pattern. So you could go about it that way. Say, okay, what's the area where they are the most keenly aware that they're doing this shit? Like, what's the one that is if you were to say, where do you overgive in your life without it, hesitation, they would say, but. So that's one. But the other thing is, in terms of finding out hubs, the immediate question is, well, hubs for whom? And so we've got some information on that here. But within the who, there are 4 levels. So if you imagine this like a bullseye or a target, right? There's a bullseye and there's rings out. So the bullseye is, what's the issue? So that is they're tired and stressed because they're, consistently giving to others first. And again, we could massage that, give it a bit more skin, a bit more context, more clear situation or two. But let's just say that's fine enough for now. So that's the bullseye. Now the bullseye is worth 1,000 points. So in niching, this is the big money. This is what gets you the trophy at the archery contest, is you hit that. 1 ring out are the psychographics. That's 100 points. That's not bad. It's not as good, but still pretty good. And the psychographics are, what's their worldview, their values. So it could also be, I help tired and stressed vegan women. I help tired and stressed feminists. I help tired and stressed artists, female artists, tired and stressed female CEOs. I mean, that's a demographic, but you could do it by the kind of community they're a part of. Yeah. Tired and stressed Republican women. I mean, I don't know why the tired and stressed would be particular to them, but that can be a way that we hone the who, is by getting clear, like, what's the worldview? What's the community they're a part of? And we specialize in helping the tired and stressed women in that community. Because then obviously now there's a bunch of hubs, because we know what the community is. So that community itself is a hub, but within that community, there are a bunch of sub-hubs. And so there might be a particular psychographic of women you're most interested in helping, and that can be an immense set of hubs, particularly because people do tend to gather based on psychographic more than demographics. It's not like, hey, is this the you know, a 45 to 50-year-old club here. Hey, what's happening? Like, people don't get together for those reasons generally. Okay, then there's for 10 points, you've got the demographics. So man, woman, age, income, ethnic background, habits, anything you could observe from the outside, only 10 points. And this is where people obsess often in their niching. Yeah. So women, demographic. But it could be home. Again, a CEO is a demographic. Mom is also a demographic. Don't know if they're a good mom. We just know that they are a mom. We could prove this. You gave birth to this baby, you know, who lives with you currently. Demographic. Then there's the qualities. The qualities they're real nice. They're a generous person. They're so sweet. You know, it's adjectives that we could throw on top of them. That's 1 point. I mean, it sprinkles on the cake. It's nice garnishing, but it's not anything to base a niche on. So how does that all land for you, Gabrielle? Does it make sense? How am I doing at explaining this?
Brilliantly. I'm scribbling notes.
Okay. So what I would say is go work on those things with a real extreme focus. I mean, forget about the qualities, really focus on the issue, but then see if there's maybe a layer of psychographics or demographics that could go on top of that. And my guess is from doing that, the hubs become a lot more clear. Because consider the difference between women who are stressed and tired because of this versus moms. Well, we know there are hubs for moms, anarchists. We know there's hubs for anarchists. We know there's hubs for a certain scene or even the demographics. So sometimes that's a way that can happen. But also if we contextualize the issue a bit more, sometimes through that. So usually when we're struggling with the hubs, it's because we're struggling with the niche. And as we clarify that, who we most want to work with, a lot of the hubs will become fairly apparent. Yeah.
That makes really, really good sense. And I can feel resistance within me in narrowing it down and thinking, what about all the people I'm going to leave out? But I know that that's necessary. But yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome. Yes, and just on this, what about all the people I leave out? Here's the insanity of that thought, which, I mean, we all go there. This is why it's insane, is because what it's premised on is the idea that you could have everybody. You see what I'm saying? You can't get stressed about not being able to reach everybody unless somewhere, or you're going to lose some people. Oh, so you thought you weren't going to lose some people anyways. You know, you just thought everybody's going to love you. And so this becomes the people pleasing and the trying to be everything to everybody. The reality is, of course, tragically, hilariously, when you try to be everything to everybody and you become a generalist, you lose people because of that too. I mean, it gets you every way. Oh, you get real niched, you focus in, you're going to lose so many people, so many when you niche down. That's true. But then when you go to the generalist route, you lose the same number of people anyways. You're only ever going to get a small band of the people. So then doesn't the question become, who are the people I want to keep? And who are the ones I want to lose? And then to me, I mean, whatever works. If being a generalist gets you more of the people you want, I say roll with that. But if you find it doesn't, and it's a bit of a crapshoot, then you may want to get a bit more specific. And genuinely, there's some people like they never niche, but they just love all their clients. I mean, just do that. Don't take my advice. Is it working? Don't mess with it. That's great. And for some people, they find that's not the case. Many, often the times it's, oh, I guess some clients are great, some that are not. Okay, so we just start to hone. So that, because the goal at the end, isn't it that we just want to work with the best clients? We just want to be thrilled with everyone we work with, like everyone we work with is an ideal client, where we just can't wait to get on the phone with them. We can't wait to meet with them. It's so exciting for us. That's to me, the dream. And so then that usually has to be constructed, a certain amount of clarity and filtering to make sure that only those people arrive. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And may the odds be ever in your favor.